What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome to another edition of MVP Sports Live right here at either twitch.tv or YouTube. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
How'd you like the man, the myth, the legend?
I was confused. I was like, what?
We got to come up, I was thinking about that today. Got to come up with nicknames. Like, I used to have, the one, the only, Brandon Swanee Swanson. Yeah. Not the original man-child, that's me. My fellow man-child, Johnny Carlick. What was Mark's? Mark's was dubbed them E's. That's what he said. But, I don't know what I said before that. Sean, I don't know what I said for him either.
You were on the other side of the table from Sean, usually.
Yeah, I don't want to say the notorious Dave because you're not Conor McGregor. You don't have any felonies. You're not committing felonies, Dave.
I do not.
So I can't call you the notorious. So throw something out there, seeing if it works. But how's your day been going, Dave? How's your hump day?
Busy. I want to stop working, but I like the paycheck, so I'm going to keep working.
Can't stop, won't stop. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Can't stop, won't
I know
stop.
what you mean,
Gotta bring in the dollar bills, as they say.
Apparently, it costs money to live.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thunk? Who would have thunk it costs money to have good things in your life? But we're talking about a lot of things that should have been talked about yesterday.
Yeah,
they're getting pushed over to today because of technical issues, plus some new things, some breaking news from today. But before we get into everything, quickly, Discord, join it down below. If you're not in it already, you're behind the 8 ball, but good thing. Link down below in the description or / Discord. Boom, you got what you need to join the Discord, the great community that we have over there. If you want to support the show, patreon.com / MVPvids is how you go ahead and do that. You can also support us by throwing us a sub on Twitch, where we are live every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv / MVPvids. And we're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. So go ahead and follow and sub at both places. Also, hello to Eric, who is a very happy man today, because not only was his Lakers crowned the champs of the NBA, but the Dodgers last night were crowned champs of the MLB as well. So hello to Eric, who's in Twitch
LA's
chat right
town.
now. So before we get into the first thing, I brought this up to Soapy. Mini question for you, Dave.
Of course.
So far, since the pandemic has started, both of our championships have been LA versus Florida.
Oh.
Does it happen this year so how it would have to happen for the NFL is the Rams would have to make the Super Bowl from the NFC, because there's the Chargers, Jacksonville, and I think there's some other team in the AFC. They're all at the bottom to where it's oh, fuck, that ain't going to happen.
Dolphins?
It would have to be can Tua make it to where we get a Rams-Dolphins Super Bowl and we keep the LA to the Florida connection going?
That's a big one. That's a big ask. I mean,
otherwise it's Air Bear versus Tom Brady, but Air Bear's got more of an ask than Tua record-wise.
Yeah. Air Bear is killing it out there, but that's asking a lot of the man. Both of these rookies. Yeah,
Eric says not going to happen. One thing I thought about today that I was like, it'd be cool if that happened, because LA is now 2-0 against Florida in championships this year. But Dave, the first thing we're talking about today, NBA style. The 76ers going out there making some moves where Shams dropped it early on that, hey, the 76ers, and also there's a typo because I put 2 R's in Daryl Morey's name, so I'm an idiot for that. There's a typo for that.
Daryl Morey, fixing that pre-show when we talked when you mentioned it.
In the title I fixed it. I didn't open Photoshop because I didn't realize that I had the error on there, but whatever. I'm an idiot. That's how it goes. Sometimes you make a mistake. Hey, even professionals make mistakes. How many athletes have I seen make mistakes? Cubs fan, right in between my legs. How many times have I seen that? So, I mean, hey, sometimes it happens. But Shams dropped the first bomb. Hey, 76ers looking at Daryl Morey. They could sign him this weekend. Then shit kind of progressed, and it's they're finalizing a deal, and that's what ESPN has here. Former Houston Rockets GM Daryl Morey is finalizing a deal to become the Philadelphia 76ers' new president of basketball operations, sources told ESPN. A formal announcement is expected as soon as this week. General manager Elton Brand is expected to remain in his current position And the new coach, Doc Rivers, is a proponent of the hiring, sources have said. Rivers and Morey have a long history and a strong relationship. Dave, thoughts on this? How good is this for the 76ers?
It's huge. It's absolutely huge for the 76ers. It eliminates Elton Brand from being the be-all, end-all decision maker with that roster and that front office, because Lord knows if he had another offseason to ruin, not looking good. They turned the process into the shit show. And let's be honest, this is a team that had one of the best starting lineups in the NBA for a period of time. And you watch piece after piece after piece shifted out, and the results have gotten worse. So this is a massive move for them in the right direction again. You can look at last offseason as just that is Elton Brand's image exemplified as far as what he had, his idea of building a team. Elton Brand, a big guy, wants more big guys, trying to be that Denver lineup with 6 guys over 6'9". Not perhaps the best basketball move as it turned out on the court, but Daryl Morey is a guy who is incredibly smart, incredibly analytics driven, and he knows how to make his best players better. He knows how to get guys around his best player to make the team better. And I think that's what people are overlooking. They're saying Daryl Morey, they're confusing Daryl Morey and Dan Antoni in my mind. A lot of the conversation I've seen online is very much, now they're going to shoot 55 threes a game and this. And I'm like, you guys know he wasn't the coach of the team, right? Yeah. He was the guy pulling strings to put the roster together.
If he did have that philosophy, he wouldn't have went ahead and traded for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly his call, and that's been heavily talked about as a rumor in air quotes. There's some great stories around that situation and a Vegas trip and what happened during it. It was not his choice at all.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I saw this, I was like, holy shit, the 76ers are actually making a move that's going to help their future. I feel like that's the first thing. But the second thing my brain immediately went to is, okay, what moves are going to be made? Because the thing that I think of is I look at Chicago, and when you look at our kind of setup, who's the guy, either Mark Eversley or Konashovas? I hope I said that right. Who's the one that people mostly talk about? It's AK. The ME is just kind of there to where I hope it's the same here. Morey's the guy actually making the decisions. Elton Brand is just there to, hey, what do you think about this? We're having a conversation. To where it's in this case, it's more, hey, Daryl, it's your team to mold. Elton's just going to be here because we don't want to fire him. Because if we fire him, we're completely admitting that the last few years have been an absolute failure, and we don't want to do that. To where I almost feel like if you're Daryl Morey, is your first thought okay, I got to look at Al Horford and Tobias Harris and figure out how to get these guys out of here? Or is it more than is it more than that? Is it more of the, hey, Embiid and Ben are untouchable? Or is it hey, anyone except for maybe Joel or except for Ben is safe, or though that guy, one of them, whichever one you pick, is safe. Everyone else is basically up to be traded by Daryl Morey.
I was listening to an interesting, I don't want to call it a podcast, seminar.
Yeah. And
it basically, it was one of the, it was a really interesting one. And they talked about the way to go into a new organization and how do you start that line of thought? How do you figure out what you're doing? What's the first thing you're doing? You start with the end goal. So if you go, Daryl Morey walks in and he goes, 76ers win an NBA championship. Now, how does that happen? How did we win the championship? It was around our best player, clearly. Our best player is Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons. He needs to figure that out. You go, well, they were able to win because they had the right scheme in place. Well, what's the right scheme look like? Okay, well, in that scheme, what do the right complementary players look like? Okay, those complementary players, do we have them? Do we not? And then it's, okay, where are we at with contracts as far as who do we want to target to fill that void? You have to break it down from end goal backwards kind of a thing as far as that line of thought. So I think that there's a lot of options he has. I think Josh Richardson is a name you hadn't mentioned who
good point.
People had high expectations after his amazing run in Miami, but
yeah,
clearly,
man, he was gonna fill Jimmy's shoes, man. We don't need Jimmy. We got Josh Richardson.
I mean, just look at the box score, bro. He can pass the ball. He can make assists happen. Like,
one was in the finals, one wasn't.
Jesus, just a bunch of box score boys out there. They like, oh, clearly A equals B. Like, they're pretty close, guys. And basically, you just swap around. No one would notice the difference. Like, in what world is Josh Richardson can't hold that man's jockstrap? Mm-hmm. I don't think basketball players wear cups, by the way. That's a weird thing I noticed.
No,
like,
they don't.
A lot of ball shots happen. And I was like, I feel like you should maybe consider that. I know it's uncomfortable, though, but yeah. just a thought with Draymond still in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, clearly it was a Miami system thing and not a Josh Richardson's amazing as a secondary ball handler. So I think that Josh, Toby, and Horford are all up on the chopping block. And you have to figure out, like, is Shake Milton the guy to be in the starting lineup to help complement that team going forward, or do they just have that many gaps on this team there? We've got big contracts. We need to break them down into small guys. Like, hey, do we go the route of let's trade out of, Al Horford's contract and bail on that and try to get some shooting, even if it's a lesser player? Like, we're willing to work with that because it fits our scheme better. Yeah. Let's move out of Toby's contract and see if we can get like 3 guys who can give us like 15 minutes a night of amazing play, but like any more than that and they're exposed, like high impact role player kind of guys. It's very hard to tell what direction they're going with right now, because I think we're all in that point of like, I mean, like, is it a turning point where they have to make a decision between Ben and Joe? I feel like that's media driven is the idea, but I'm like, but is it?
Let me ask you this question then, and I'm going to take this off of what you just said. Yeah. If we're going to do what you just said, think about the end goal and kind of work back, putting the system in place. Yeah. You got to look at Doc Rivers. Okay. Yeah. What has his teams been? And the thing that I'm thinking about, Boston and even a little bit with the Clippers, maybe not this year, but more of with the like Chris Paul era, is do you think Ben and Joe can be your Paul Pierce and KG from the Celtic days, or your Chris Paul and Blake Griffin from your Clipper days? Of like the guy, I know that like Chris Paul and Ben aren't the same player, but like Ben being your ball handler, Ben being your main scorer like Paul Pierce was, and then KG and Blake Griffin being the down low presences for those teams. Can Ben and Joe fit those roles and be the same as what Doc had in Boston and in LA for a short time before Kawhi came in and kind of messed with that because it was more Kawhi and PG then?
Well, I mean, that last year in LA was interesting. I mean, but you got to look at the year before even, where they flexed out to a 3-guard lineup with a really young roster. And, with Pat Bev, Shamet, and Lou Will out on the floor at the same time, like, they were able to put up some surprisingly good results, getting great bench play out of some role players and really flexing on the team. So, like, I think Doc can be creative when you give him different options. He's not inflexible, he's able to make that call. Same thing if you look at his Boston teams. I mean, he transitioned from a team in Boston that had the big 3 to a Rondo-led team to a Trent. At the end, it was like, how does that transition, and can you still compete at a high level? I think actually, wait, what was his final year in Boston? Was it 13?
I got it up here. It was 2013 was his last year.
Okay, so yeah. So he did his big 3, and then it was like, all right, that shit's done. Let's you can get traded to the Clippers.
Then 2013 to 2020, so the last 7 years he's been in LA.
Yep. Okay, cool. So that works out perfect in my head. So yeah, like, he's worked with stars, he's worked with great personalities, terrible personalities, like everything in between. I just have to wonder, like, him and Daryl Morey getting along. Absolutely, they're both professionals. They've been students of the game for decades now. So I think that that's actually a great match. I think that their coach and their front office, or their basketball president of operations, are now aligned. I feel really good about that if I'm a 76ers fan. But that is a great conversation. I would love to be a fly on the wall to hear, like, those two guys sitting in a room. Hey, just those two guys talking, because those two guys talking basketball.
Doc
that's
you're talking about Doc and Daryl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Pick their brains for an hour.
For a second, I was like, I hope he's not talking about Daryl and Elton, and he's talking about Daryl and Doc.
I mean, Daryl and Elton would be interesting, but I would prefer the one with the guy who knows things.
Yeah.
So no, like, trying to get those two guys read on like how do we build the team together and like what's your plan? Because like Daryl Morey, I think he sees Ben Simmons as, hey, this guy can be an incredibly effective scorer when he drives to the paint, and that's a high percentage shot.
Yeah.
That's right in the analytics lane. That makes perfect sense. Joel Embiid in the low post can be dominant. But then when Joel Embiid comes out behind the three-point line, you ask the questions. The further away from the hoop, the worse the shooting percentage gets. Duh, that's how basketball works, people. But like, again, what's the game plan with that? How do you utilize Joe's ability to space without getting exposed and getting those shitty possessions where Joe's taking just standing shooting threes with like 14 seconds on the clock? Like, that shit can't happen. So I think that those conversations have to happen with him and not Doc Rivers. Remember, there's only one Doc in Philly. We had this conversation, Ricky.
Yep, good point. It's what is it? Oh, what's fuck?
I don't know Doc's first name.
No, he said it, and we said it on the podcast, and I can't remember.
He did. I read it, and I listened to it, but I can't remember his first name.
Let's see. Glenn.
But yeah.
Glenn Rivers.
So
it's Glenn.
It was in there, but I just don't want to.
Daryl and Glenn, man.
Daryl and Glenn talking. A little Walking Dead right there.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. A lot of it. One thing that Eric, this has been in chat for a little bit, but I want to bring it into the conversation, is he says analytics can work in the regular season, not buying it in the playoffs, where you can kind of say we saw that to a degree in Houston. I know there was that 1 year where it should have been their year, but they shit the bed, Dave. The 27 missed threes.
They didn't shit the bed per se. Their best player was hurt. Yeah, in the time they needed the most. Yeah. And they went and
Chris Paul went down.
In the middle of that streak, I will remind you.
1 3 carries him on.
I will remind you that James Harden hit a three and a foul, and yet the refs decided to call it against, the offensive shot wasn't in motion. Well, sure as fuck was. They waved off the shot. They killed the momentum. What should have been a 4-point swing turned into nothing. Just saying, the refs fucked them.
Yeah. But basically,
that's not Daryl Morey. That's Mike D'Antoni.
With
have
Philly,
to separate the coach.
That's what I wanted to bring up, though. Is Daryl Morey? It's his job to analytically. We're going to put the team together. Yeah, that's fine. Regular season, this team should be good. I mean, it's the playoffs. I'm not worried about it because Doc Rivers. Last season, erase it. Like, this is a coach that his time in LA. Yes, that Clipper team could not get over the hump, but he didn't have the same exact players that he had in Boston. I would say his Boston roster, and this is not a hot take, this is just a fact, his Boston roster is way better than that CP3 roster. He literally had three Hall of Famers potentially on that team, in Pierce, Allen, and Garnett. 4 if you count Rondo. If you think Rondo's going to be a Hall of Famer.
You have to count Rondo.
So 4 Hall of Famers compared to
2.
1, maybe 2 if you count Blake. Is Blake going to be a Hall of Famer at this point? I don't know.
Yeah, he's a halfer.
He's the tweener where CP3 should be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and DeAndre Jordan, we're all kind of laughing about now. Yeah. Their big 3 was really a 2.5 at the time. And we've seen what happened with Blake's career. Blake was so good athletically early on that he didn't spend the time to work on his shot. And now injuries. That he had to, he's a superstar when healthy. Like the season he had a year and a half ago, he's a top 5 player in MVP voting. He can do everything. Like if Doc was that's what I question about Glenn Rivers right now.
If Glenn had that Blake,
why didn't he? Is my question. Like if you have a star who is that good at basketball, why are you not pressing him to work on his weaknesses? Why can't you get through that hump? And that's what brings me to the Blake Griffin to Ben Simmons conversation. Which I 100% want to ask you because let me just wrap the analytics thing real quick and then I want to jump to you on that because that's a great point. I think that Daryl Morey's fingerprints are on this Rockets team. There were 3 different iterations of this team in the last 5 years. And his final iteration of this team was moving on from Clint Capella. Once the most effective pick and roll man in the NBA. He, Chris Paul, and James Harden put together a season where when all 3 were healthy, I think they went on a ridiculous run of 45-3 or something along those just insane lengths where they were just dominating teams. Those 3 together were unstoppable. He went, okay, Chris Paul's gone. We got Russell Westbrook. We got to figure out how Russ and James Harden are going to work in this team. Russ needs the paint. Clint's always in the paint. That's a no. We can't have 2 guys clogging paint. Guess what? We're going to fucking PJ Tucker's a new 5. Rocco, get over here. We're pulling you in. We're grabbing these guys out of nowhere to play our 3 guard, or our 3 guard, because Eric Gordon was injured, so they're just pulling random guys. Austin Rivers stepped in huge for them. And again, how you can transition from having a traditional lineup to the small ball lineup, and Robert Covington basically rejuvenated into the best defender in the NBA for that stretch of games post-trade, where the man was averaging like, I think 2.5 blocks a game for the rest of the season since that trade, and just being able to guard 5s, being able to guard 4s, being able to guard 2s, being able, like, everything on that roster they could switch on between him, PJ Tucker. They were able to do everything because Daryl Morey was like, I understand why this team is not as good as it should be. And I'm going to make the move that I think puts us there. I know that Clint Capella's been great. He's a great basketball player. It's cool. It's not him. He's not our best player. Our best player is James Harden. How do you make James Harden better? He has to be in the paint. Well, we got Russell Westbrook. Has to be in the paint. Obviously, we have a problem here. So, like, I think that the whole point of analytics is to help you make better decisions. It doesn't guarantee you, and this I will fully admit is Max Kellerman from this morning. I listened to a clip because Stephen A. Smith was clowning on him about the World Series game. Analytics are there to help you make better decisions, the higher probability decision. They're not there to be right 100% of the time. Nothing is infallible.
I mean, look at the Vikings in the Sunday night game against the Seahawks, where they went for it on 4th down instead of kicking a field goal. After they didn't make it, Chris Collinsworth and everyone says, well, look, the analytics tell you that's the right decision. Well, in the end, we lost. To where it's like, well, fuck the analytics. You lost the game. Maybe you should have kicked a field goal there. To where it's like, they help you in the situation try to be like, okay, what should the decision be? It's not the end all be all, like you said, of like, well, the analytics say this, it's right.
Right. In the case that they were talking about on First Take was obviously the pitching change in the World Series. It was like, why are you pulling somebody who's so hot right now? Like, this is not the right move. And apparently, like, even Mookie Betts on the sideline was just like smirking. He's like, oh, you're pulling him right now? I get to... Okay.
We're going to get into that during Wet Boys, Dave, because our Wet Boys come from that.
I thought that was actually a really well said statement by Max Kellerman. It doesn't happen often where I totally agree with something that comes out of that show. So I did want to, shout that out. But yeah, I think Daryl Morey, great fit, great guy. And I think that his fingerprints out there for being able to work around your best player and put together a supporting roster that helps amplify what your team is trying to do. Clearly there. Now, I want to just final question to you about the Doc Rivers, obviously unable to pull the best out of Blake Griffin, an incredibly athletic, talented superstar during the first couple of years of his career, and now transition it to Ben Simmons in his unwillingness to shoot threes. Do you think that he's going to have a better way of breaking through than Brett Brown did? Do you think that he's going to just let him roll with, hey, you don't want to take threes? That's okay by me. Like, where do you think that situation's going to go?
So before I answer your question, Dime from our Dima from Twitch chat.
Dima,
this discussion reminds me of Moneyball, and all I could think about was, like, I was hearing your question, and all I could think about is when they're in the scouts room, and it's like, but Billy's got an ugly girlfriend. If he's got an ugly girlfriend, he's making bad decisions. That's all I could think about after he made that. But
that movie, Moneyball, is amazing as a movie. It's one of my favorite movies. And if you haven't seen the Screen Rants,
Dave, we're worried about one thing. What's that?
I don't remember the line anymore.
He gets on base.
Yeah.
Just when I point you, he gets on base. That's all we're worried about. But to answer your question, I knew this question was coming, by the way. Like, you were like, I'm going to ask you a question. I was like, all right, I know it's coming. Is Ben Simmons on the 3-pointers? And for me, it comes down to this is I don't think that I'm torn, because if you're looking at it to where, like, well, because we've got Doc Rivers, if we're going to do more of a thing of like he did in Boston, Ben doesn't have to shoot threes, because Paul Pierce didn't shoot threes all the time. It was Ray Allen. Rajon Rondo and Ray Allen were the 3-point shooters.
No, Rondo did not shoot threes.
Oh, good point. It was Ray Allen. Like, here's what I'm thinking.
Rondo learned to shoot threes later in his career after his ACL because he lost his athleticism.
Yeah, here's what
Very similar to Blake losing athleticism, learns to shoot.
Here's what I'm thinking. Ben Simmons is he going to fit your Paul Pierce role? What does that mean for Joel Embiid? Because like you said, if Ben's going to be more of a driver and a mid-ranger, do you want that paint open? And what are you bouncing Joe out to the outside? Is Joe then clogging up the lane? Does that create Joe's the odd man out? The other thing I thought of was Matisse Thybulle. Does he then flourish under this because of, like, I thought Rondo flourished defensively? Does he then fit that Rondo role of like, okay, I know he's not a point guard, but like he's our top defender. He's the guy that plays defense the best on this team.
Like,
Simmons too.
Don't overlook Ben Simmons' defense. He is all NBA defense caliber.
The question that I like, the thing that I go back to where I fight this is I don't know if they go back and go, oh, what Doc did in Boston, that's what we want to do, because it was a totally different NBA. Yeah, the 3-point shot is king now. Like, if you can't shoot threes, you're not going anywhere. Not like you have to go full D'Antoni, like something maybe half D'Antoni. You never want to go full D'Antoni, only half D'Antoni.
You don't go full D'Antoni.
You don't go full D'Antoni. But I mean, that's it. If like you have to be able to shoot threes to where it's like, can I get half? I don't need I don't need Ben to be fucking Steph Curry out there, but can I get half of what we're expecting? Can I get more threes rather than he shot a 3 during preseason. Oh, he made a 3 during preseason.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing is, like, so far his point guards, his players on team, he hadn't been able to get through to Blake Griffin, whether it was just indifference or whatever. Blake only changed his style after his career changed.
Like you said, the athleticism was no longer.
Rajon Rondo, same thing, but obviously different points in their careers.
Yeah.
And then you look at now, it's like, okay, well, if you look at his failings with this Clippers team, obviously their lack of a true point guard hurt them a lot, and that's why Rondo's now linked to the Clippers as far as one of their high priority offseason pickups.
Yeah.
Because Pat Beverly just isn't a facilitator. He can't run an offense. I look at that and go, okay, well, here's things that Doc Rivers did poorly in LA. Are we concerned about any of those things carrying over? Like, what is a Doc Rivers offense and defensive look like? And then what do we have to worry about going forward? What can we build around? So I think Daryl Morey, Doc Rivers, amazing tandem for the 76ers. I think that they should be very hyped about this combo. Like, looking back, I think this is a big changing point for the mentality, because Elton Brand going into this offseason, I was like, oh, they're about to, like, I thought it was bad before. This dumpster fire is about to get a fucking Molotov cocktail tossed in.
Sixer fans should feel confident, because now they have someone.
Confidence the wrong word, because they're not primed to win an NBA championship.
Well, no, I'm not saying confident in that sense. I'm saying confident in the sense of if you move a Horford, if you move a Tobias, even if you do move a Ben or a Joe, I am more confident in the deal not being absolute dog shit. That's what I'm confident in.
100% nailed it.
That's what I mean when I say confident. But of course, let us know what you guys think, because Dave, we got to move on. We got some football news, college news. This one was so big, Dave, doesn't go to the end of the show, goes to the top of the show. We all thought it would happen. It happened, Dave. Like,
right away.
A Big Ten team. So we're talking about Wisconsin, obviously, and even before the game started all week, I'm an Illini fanboy, so I'm in Illini Twitter, and a lot of people were like, I'm nervous about this game because, Wisconsin as a state is having higher COVID cases, and like basically the one that I saw from an Illini beat writer was basically I was supposed to go up there because my buddy said that we could watch the game together and there's like an abundance of like media seats, but then he told me don't even come up because there's people not even wearing masks. So he's like, just don't even bother coming up. It's not safe. Then after the game, we find out that the quarterback from Wisconsin had COVID, where of course all Illini Nation's like, number one, tell me that I shouldn't be worried after we got blew out by a kid with COVID. Because
he looked amazing.
He did. There was another joke that I think I said earlier this week of like, so COVID's a PED now. It just makes you play better. But Dave, Nebraska, Wisconsin's canceled. What is your thought on this? Because we knew something like this would happen, and it only took a week for it to happen.
I mean, it sucks for their quarterback because 21 days. The Big Ten agreed on a 21-day. What's the rule? What's the word I'm looking for?
Quarantine.
Quarantine. Thank you. A 21-day quarantine when you test positive for COVID-19, as opposed to the SEC, where Nick Saban back on that fucking sideline.
Dude, he tested positive on Monday, was on that fucking sideline on Saturday.
You can't put the man down. It's the SEC. Football rules, baby. Roll Tide. So yeah, it's a real fucking shame for Wisconsin because that quarterback, I would love to see him play more games this season. And now that's all up in the air because obviously it's not just him who had COVID-19. So I do question, obviously protocols around that team. What level of care were they taking in their practice facility, on the field, in the locker room? What level of separation do they have? I know the NFL has the mask police basically roaming the halls. They've got the trackers and everything. Yeah. I know some colleges who have a lot of money have similar setups. Yeah. They have people who are around the team who are making sure that things are safe, who are making sure that they are following protocols. Now, I don't know that Wisconsin, because of their lax rules, had that. And that is definitely a question to look back on and wonder. But again, it's a college campus. We've heard horror stories. I mean, frat parties, different sorts of interactions socially where it's just people don't care because people in the age group of 18 to 35, the effects of COVID tend to be less than people of an older age group. So it's hey, if I get COVID, I'm more likely to be at least non-knocked out pretty much than people older. So just don't care. The just don't care attitude came to bite them in the ass.
So from the ESPN article, it says, as of Wednesday morning, which is today, 12 people within the program have tested positive for COVID in the past 5 days. The total includes 6 student athletes, 6 staffers, including head coach Paul Christ. This morning, I received the news that I have tested positive via a PCR test I took yesterday, Christ said in a statement released by the university on Wednesday. I informed my staff and the team this morning, and I am currently isolating at home. I had not been experiencing any symptoms and feel good as of this morning. And one thing I do want to say, because maybe my attitude from the start of this, I am not excited that anyone got COVID. I want that to be first and foremost out there. But
cheese and peace all around.
I can't help but feel like I told you so. I can't help it. I have that in me of I told you so.
Yeah. I'm at frustrated. That's my level of emotion. Is every time I hear another player, another athlete gets COVID, it's well, what did you think was going to happen when you're gathering a large amount of irresponsible people together on a daily basis? It's bound to happen.
Because know what I'm hoping for now, Dave?
What's that?
I am hoping the rest of the way Wisconsin goes undefeated. And the reason why I say that is I want a problem for the college football of so they're undefeated, but they have one less game.
Are they 6-0 at that point?
They would be right now. It'd be 7-0. But again, let's say if Purdue gets canceled, then it's only 6 games. Then Michigan after that. What if this team is a 5-0 team because they had 3 games canceled?
Out of their athletes who got COVID, I think they're down to a 4th string quarterback at this point.
Yeah,
because literally the QB room 1, 2, 3 I think went out from what I don't know if that was just being memed on, but I heard 4th string quarterback is now their starter.
Yeah. I mean, this is what the Big Ten was asking for. This is what this is it. This is what they were asking for.
I heard the Big Ten Commission who was told you we shouldn't have done this.
Yep. Yeah. When all the parents and certain players and Nebraska, and it's the little irony on top, Dave, is that the first game that got canceled has Nebraska a part of it. The school that was we're going to lead the charge, and now one of their games is canceled.
Absolutely. It is hilarious in a sad way.
It's just, when will people learn? The thing I'm going to bring the NFL in this for 2 seconds is you get the thing. Pat McAfee and his group talked about this with the, I think his name's Brown from the Raiders, who infected everyone or thought infected everyone. Where they were the slogan for the NFL is it takes all of us. And it's like, when are people going to realize it takes all of us? We're not just saying that for some cutesy like cancer slogan. Like, it does take all of us to beat this thing. But yeah, the Big Ten, I
think you make a valid spiteful point about the whole, like, I hope they go undefeated because
I do.
Yeah, what's the season going to look like? They've made 8 games.
Ohio State misses out because they have one loss, but Wisconsin is one less game, but they're undefeated.
And you're assuming it's only going to be 1 week of non-play. We will see. Like, that's the other thing. That's an assumption right now. And again, 8 games, 8 weeks, man. There's no room for error. So
yeah, they already announced the game won't be rescheduled, obviously.
Yep.
Because there's no point. Like, what, you're going to reschedule it after the fucking playoffs are announced? It's just, it is absurd that this happened. But Dave, the next thing we are talking about, let me pull up the article really quick, is Trevor Lawrence. So this is a third follow-up. We've talked about this twice before.
I love the title, by the way, on YouTube. You dropped the whole, Dave calls Trevor Lawrence a coward.
Yes, for the second one I had that. You did, though. You did, though.
Can we clickbait that a little harder? Oh, my camera.
I mean, kind of. Like, you knew what I was going. Like, so for the second one, this is why I did that. For the second one, I was like, I don't want to put the same exact question. And I did think that, like, people like, oh, man. Like,
I did not expect that coming.
I mean, we say your whole name.
We do. I just, it was just funny to see when because for those who don't know, Ricky does all the work.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the show. Ricky posts it. He edits. He does the videos. So I just looked on YouTube. I checked our channel. I was like, oh, new video. Dave Oster says he's a coward, eh? Well, that should get over real well.
Dave's like, did I say that? Oh, yeah, I guess.
Oh, no, I know I said it. It was like, that's going to go over real well for people who don't watch the videos. They just see Trevor Lawrence as a coward.
Well, it's the headline thing. You gotta watch. You gotta read the article. You gotta watch it. You can't just go off of what the headline is. But the third follow up is, Dave, we actually got word from Trevor Lawrence. He said something, and
he didn't say anything.
He said something.
He said nothing.
This is what was said. Clemson Tiger quarterback Trevor Lawrence is leaving the door open about his football future, despite previously saying he planned on heading to the NFL after his junior season. The 6'6" Lawrence, considered to be the number 1 pick in next spring's NFL draft, said he hasn't ruled out returning to Clemson for another year instead of going pro. Here's the exact quote. My mindset has been I'm going to move on. But who knows? There's a lot of things that could happen. That lot of things that could happen, Dave, is the Jets are the number 1 pick. That's what I'm getting out of this. That's what I'm reading into it.
You're putting fuel on the fire, man. You're playing a dangerous game.
There was a better way he could have said this, Dave. All he would have had to say is, I'm not thinking. Why not do the I'm not thinking about that right now that many other athletes have pulled out? You know what? That's not on my mind. What's on my mind is we're on to Cincinnati. Like, why did you do that rather than, you know what? I haven't ruled it out because we're going to see what happens.
That is a great point, and actually, you're 100% right. He could have put the kibosh on all that talk. Maybe he likes it.
Maybe he likes the attention. Let's be honest, I would like the attention a little bit.
Maybe some spice. Maybe it keeps things entertaining. Gives the reports another reason to come on back.
And plus, like, would you? I wouldn't blame him if he didn't want to go to the Jets. I would not blame him, but he doesn't get you don't get a choice.
I think in the next 3 years, I read they have like 8 first round picks in the next 3 years.
Do you trust for them to hit on all of them?
Good luck. Try not to be on the Jets. Like, that's my point. If the Jets want you,
good point.
They can trade a lot of picks to get there.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it. It's inevitable.
And so if you're the Jets also.
Put Thanos meme up there with the Jets logo, Trevor Lawrence, it's inevitable.
If you're the Jets and Trevor Lawrence goes back, do you tank a second season? Like, fuck it. Like, we're just tanking again. Not like we're going to be good next year.
They're literally talking about trading their best offensive lineman, Quentin Williams. Like, how do you expect this team to get fucking better in 1 year?
I believe they put the kibosh on that today.
Oh, thank God.
I'm gonna look that up. I thought I saw an article on ESPN that they put the kibosh on the.
Okay, I'd only seen the rumor and I just laughed. I was like, of course they are. Like, that's the problem. Yeah. It's when you hear that dumb shit. It's like the Trump shit when it's like, of course he said that. After a while, you just believe whatever they say he said because honestly, there's a very high chance that he did.
So Adam Gase said today he's going to be here. Those stories are false. I talked to Quentin. I have not heard one thing from anybody in the front office about him being traded. There's nothing to that. It's false. However, I'm going to take a little grain of salt in there. Who
Adam
says
Gase.
the front office is telling you anything? You are just there to lose games.
I don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth because according to him, he still thinks he's a good head coach.
Let's see.
He still thinks he's the right guy for the job.
Williams then said on XM radio, honestly, I just don't read it, man. Just don't look at it. Just don't read it. You just don't really listen to it. Just don't really pay attention to it, man. So that's his mindset. So maybe they didn't put the kibosh on it.
You try not to pay attention to the media, but at the same time,
You'll pay attention to the
what's
media.
going on around the league right now. I know it's not on the lineup for the day, but
Yeah.
you got to mention the fact that the Seahawks went out and got Carlos Dunlap, who literally just in the fucking we talked about it. He was in the locker room, was like, who wants to buy my house?
Yeah.
I'm done. Like basically, I'm done with this team. They suck. I'm out. I'm just out. And his own running back.
He is the basic Vine of fuck this shit, I'm out. Jumps into the trash can.
I love it. Like his own running back hits up on Twitter. Like, yeah, I'll hit me up, bro. I'm in. Like,
I'll buy that house.
I love that. And he gets an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to go play for the Seahawks now for I think it was a 7th round pick. And a player who I literally didn't recognize, so I'm assuming he's not good at football.
Random player in a 7th round pick.
Yeah, so he just upgrades.
Yeah.
Because Carlos Dunlap is a good player.
Yeah.
He's an instant upgrade to that Seahawks team. So, like, if you want to get out from a team that's bad, you can.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, okay, Quentin Williams, good on you for taking the professional. I got the blinders on. I'm staying on track. I will do my best for the Jets as long as I'm on the Jets, kind of an answer.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I've said this before. I said this last time. I'll say it again. The only way Trevor Lawrence gets out of playing for the Jets, if he does the Eli Manning route. That's it. Like
but it's funny.
Then he looks like the bad guy.
Eli Manning took the route of, I want to play in the big market.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the Chargers. It had everything to do with the fact that he wanted to play in New York because of the market, because of the Manning family.
Would that have been different if he was drafted now because the Chargers are now in LA instead of San Diego?
Maybe. Entirely possible.
Like I just think about that. I go,
But I mean, it's just funny because it's not like it's a Jets or like if there was I'm trying to think who's at the top, who's a shitty team who needs a quarterback.
If Jacksonville was there, would he be fine going to Jacksonville?
I'm going to tell you, he'd prefer the Jets over Jacksonville.
Or is he?
I'll be the guy to tell Jacksonville that as a city, I would prefer to live in New York rather than Jacksonville, Florida.
Or is he trying to leverage for like, I don't know, a Atlanta who has been rumored to moving on from their quarterback, a Minnesota who fuck Kirk Cousins, get him out of there, fucking hashtag Kirk's garbage.
But as far as locations to establish a brand and a identity, like New York is the place you go in America. LA's second, obviously, and then you've got a couple other options behind that. But it's those two by far, and it's not even close. That's why I think it's funny that it's like Trevor Lawrence doesn't want to go to the Jets. No, Trevor Lawrence is going to be literally like, you remember the Joe Montana treatment that our boy got when he got drafted there out of USC?
Darnold?
No, the one before Darnold.
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez literally got like Joe Montana highlight reel-esque, him with the big coat and everything, like living like New York media would eat him up and amplify like everything Trevor Lawrence is times 50. So I think that people are just being like, well, it's a shitty team and they're going to be shitty forever. No, Trevor Lawrence goes to New York. He's a Jet. That's fine. And again, I'm just going to clarify. I know the Jets play New Jersey. I totally am aware of that. It's a New York team.
Yeah,
Deal with it.
It's the New York market though covers them. So it's like, I know that doesn't matter that the stadium's in East Rutherford, New Jersey. New Yorkers don't even like New Jersey anyways. Let's be honest with it.
No. Point being, I think he would kill it over. I think Trevor Lawrence would kill it. I think he would be a huge brand. I think he would be marketed like crazy. The media would love him. And he would get so much money from advertisement, not just the contract. The contract for being the first overall pick is very good. It's $30 million, I think, roughly, is what they estimate it to be around. But the amount of money he will get from endorsements from going to a New York market is massive.
Yeah.
Without him ever playing a game. Massive deals we're talking, Ricky. So that's like, as a business person, you have to think about that. And I know his agent is in his ear already. Well, his agent, who definitely isn't associated with him at all, because that would be a violation of the NCAA.
Yeah.
Has advised him on this.
You know, a friend who's just giving some pro bono advice, man.
Family friend, man.
You gotta give the pro bono advice. I'm actually looking really quick. So I'm looking at the Andrew Luck draft, because Andrew Luck was another one. Could have came out and then he went back.
Yes, there's Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam Newton, who went to the Panthers.
You think Cam would have gone 1 overall over Andrew Luck? I don't.
No, the Broncos would have got a new quarterback. Broncos probably would have. It would either have been Cam would have been a Bronco, or he definitely would have been a Bill. Like, if the Broncos still would have went with Von Miller, like, he could have been a Bill.
Von Miller is Von Miller after all, but
like,
I agree.
Indy was just that was such a team that's like
right year, right time.
Right year, like, or maybe Trevor Lawrence, and I don't know if he's thinking about this. This is me being Mad Hatter. Maybe he's thinking about like a team like maybe the Patriots would be one, or maybe next year the Patriots do the Colt thing of, well, the Cam Newton thing didn't work out. We're gonna tank for Trevor. Or like Minnesota. Maybe Minnesota after this year fucking gets their head out of their ass and realize Kirk Cousins is not the quarterback of the future and goes, maybe we should tank for Trevor Lawrence.
New England isn't out of it this year. Let's just make that clear. They're 2-4 right now.
Do you expect the Jets to win 2 games? Same thing you asked me about the Vikings.
The NFL is a wonderful, wonderful league where
you're doing a complete 180, Dave.
Ricky, the phrase is any given Sunday.
You weren't telling me that when I said the Vikings could be in play.
That's because I don't like the Vikings. Yeah. I don't like you getting high on the Vikings. So no.
I'm just hoping for 1 Jet win,
I'm let alone shit 2 any Vikings theory you have.
It's just like, I mean, yet again, also the other thing he could be saying that I'll throw in right at the end is basically he could, if they win a national championship, does he come back and go for another one? Or let's say they lose in the national championship.
I think if he doesn't win one here, then it's like, oh, well, fuck, I got to go out on top. I'm potentially the greatest college football quarterback since Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
I need to go win a college championship again.
Even though he's got one already.
Yeah. Again.
He's got one already. He's got to go out on top in Clemson.
That is a good question. If Trevor Lawrence wins this year, is he above Tim Tebow in college quarterbacks of all time?
I don't know, man.
I know statistically there's one answer.
Yeah, there was
but
just
like, as
something
far
about
as college like
Tim Tebow had Tebow mania though. Like that's the thing. Like Tim Tebow was lightning in a bottle.
Life.
Yeah, he was just lightning in a bottle. Like Trevor Lawrence doesn't have the same like love him or hate him that it was with Tim Tebow.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. Like I go all the way back to the Matt Leinart USC days for like that was a dynasty. Matt Leinart I think lost like 5 games in college.
Yep.
Like I think he only lost 5 games, and then you got to keep going to like Tim Tebow was the next like mini dynasty run of like, God, that jump pass to the end zone.
Alabama.
It's just right here.
Alabama right now. Clemson even now.
Alabama had that like Jaylen Hurts dynasty into the Tua, but then Tua
they're just consistently like one of the best.
It's not one guy. That's what I'm saying. It's one guy dynasty. Yeah. Like that's where you have a face to it.
Well, like Clemson going from Deshaun Watson. Yeah, Clemson going from Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence. Like I feel like this is the start of it. Like who's that third guy going to be to keep it going?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Like Deshaun Watson was the one that
dethroned Alabama. Deshaun Watson being a Clemson champion. Like, yeah, it's true.
He beat. Oh, what was the fucking quarterback?
That was the miracle. That was the kick return. Yeah, right.
Was that Tua? Was that Tua Deshaun? Or was
that rookie year?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Was that Tua Deshaun? Or was that the one before Tua and Jaylen? No, it was Jaylen. I think it was Jaylen before Tua, is what I think. I could be wrong. But Dave, the other quickie NFL draft one is Jaylen Waddle. This is from the weekend, but I want to touch it a little bit. Is Waddle's out for the season, first round draft pick, has a season-ending injury, a serious ankle injury from a kickoff in the game this past weekend. He was one, Dave, that for sure is a top 10 pick The question I want to ask you is,
What?
coming off of an ankle injury, is he going to fall out of the top 10 in your mind?
There's a chance now. I will.
Okay.
But that's the problem is he has the talent. I still think he's talented enough, obviously, to be a top 10 pick.
Mm-hmm.
But ankles and wide receivers, like, that's a tricky thing. You watch nagging injuries come back, and like it's one of those situations where you don't want to get that lame duck wide receiver. As a Bears fan, who we drafted a luxury pick of Kevin White, someone who was supremely talented, had one injury. Well, guess what? That one injury turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into 4. Like, he never was able to stay on the field. Now he's done in the league already. Like, that's how quickly it can turn on you, and it is a precautionary tale. Now, it wasn't the same injury with him every time, and I can't tell if he's just the world's unluckiest man or it was just a sign that, like, hey, this guy's body can't hold up to this level of intensity on a weekly basis. So you have to look at this and do a lot of digging. I think the medicals will definitely help out. Like, thankfully, we're at a place where doctors are going to get a chance to look at these guys before the draft. Whereas the NBA, it's very like lock and key. You know, we can't get close to these players, almost situation kind of shit.
Put them in the lab. It's only for the scientists, not for you.
Yeah, it's a different world out there in the NBA, man. But by the time the NFL like combine and everything happens, I do think that they will have the ability to get, conversate with him, talk to the doctors, get the medical. So I think his case falls to the point of he's not a lock for the top 10 anymore, but I feel like that's almost because that's a combination. The injury hurts him, but almost so because of the teams around that area right now. Like the league is still so very clumped together in the middle.
Yeah.
Until that separates a little bit more by, week 11 maybe, we'll have a clearer picture of those teams in that area and like, all right, who has the ability to take someone with his talent and his skill set and make the most of it? Like, who's going to be super like, we need to nail a wide receiver with who can do what he can do? Absolutely would love that. That's the problem. It's like, could I see him falling to the second Miami pick? I don't know. That's a long way to fall.
Tankathon has him falling further than that.
Where's
Tankathon going to the Eagles at 19? Ooh. Which to me, I can see where they're going because like the way my top of the draft rolls out is I think the Dolphins at 5 right now are in play for like they can get Jamar Chase at 5. So it's like cool. We get our top wide receiver in the draft, but like now it's a question of before the injury, Washington at 9. Okay, do they go in a different area because they could really use a wide receiver? The Patriots at 11. They could use a wide receiver that actually gives their quarterback someone to throw to that actually can be a number 1 receiver. Maybe they then pass and they go for like a defensive player. The Dolphins at 14. Do they go double wide receiver if they get Chase? I don't think so.
No one would ever go double wide receiver. This is not Madden, Ricky. I want to stop you right there.
The Dolphins, I think, would be like, well, let's protect Tua so that he's not on his back.
The answer is if they don't go wide receiver at 4 or 5, then they would go for Waddle, at that second pick.
Good point.
And that's a comfort guy because, again, they have that rapport. I could see that absolutely happening.
You make a good point because I think they need, let's see. I'm going to type in NFL draft needs really quick.
Yeah, for the Dolphins, I'm going to guess it is pass rush. Well, it's a combination of pass and run protect. Like their defensive line needs help. So let's put that way.
An edge rusher is one of them. There's a total of 5 of them that the Draft Network says are primary needs. Edge rusher, safety, inside lineman, offensive side. So like a guard or a center, a linebacker or a wide receiver. So like shit.
Yeah, if they went edge rusher at the top, if there's a great one available for them there, which I know there is.
Yeah, it just depends if Gregory Rousseau, I have him going at 4. So like right before. So like if he's there, maybe they say, hey, because if Waddle hits, hey, Waddle and Tua, they were teammates together, so they already have that rapport. We don't have to fucking worry about that.
I'll be honest. I still like Devonta Parker. I think that he will be healthy and he will play well with Tua.
Yeah. I mean, Waddle wouldn't replace Devonta Parker. He could just
they're different roles at wide receiver position. You're absolutely right. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if that will be as high of a need.
Yeah.
But, like, comfort-wise, there's not much more. Like, he's already got a decent offensive line. Obviously, they're looking for someone in the middle there, but, like, They need someone who can stop the run and who can get to the quarterback. They need to find that kind of guy on that defense, in my mind. That would be the biggest help to them at the top of the draft. So if they nail down that, and then if they have that secondary pick in the first round, they're like, hey, we can go ahead and get you your buddy. Like, that's a win-win.
And who knows? Tua might win some games, bring that pick down from number 5.
Honestly?
Or no, that's never mind. That's the Texan pick that's at 5. They ain't going to win more
Yeah,
games.
I'd say it's a Texans pick at 5 because they're a good team but down there in Miami.
They could bring their pick down to where maybe it's 18, 17, 18.
Still would be possible. And again, if he's rumored to fall down to the late teens, totally possible. So
yeah,
I think it's not out of whatever to say he falls. Like wide receivers are very hard to predict.
Yeah.
We came into last year's draft with potentially the best wide receiver class we've ever seen come out at once. And I don't think anyone saw the guy on the Raiders who went first, all pure speed. Ruggs, thank you. Ruggs. Henry Ruggs going as high as he did and watching CeeDee Lamb fall.
Yeah.
And then there were other guys.
Him flipped.
I think a lot of people did. I think we all looked at CeeDee Lamb as like, this is the guy. Like, this is, and again, we've seen different guys get shaken up. It's just, what's your preference? Are you looking for a burner on the outside who can just run go routes and get you chunk yardage? Are you looking for a pure route runner who can rock the slot for you and be that over the middle kind of guy? Or are you looking for someone who can run slants, be a big distance kind of catcher? Like, it just depends on what the team's looking for and how they value that. So as much as a couple of years ago, DK Metcalf, someone who's physically by far the most disgusting prospect we've ever seen at that position, and how far he fell. Everybody's mocking him for shorts.
I will say, I don't want to toot my own horn here, Dave. Toot. But so looking back at my last draft before that one happened, I had Jerry Jeudy at 13 to the Niners. Didn't happen. I had CeeDee Lamb to the Broncos. They went with a wide receiver, just wasn't CeeDee Lamb. So I knew they were going to go with a wide receiver. So okay, I was right there. I had Ruggs at 19 to the Raiders. They didn't take him at that pick, but they eventually got Ruggs. Right? So I knew he was going to be a Raider.
Speed and Raiders.
Yeah.
Thank you, L. Davis.
I got, so I said T. Higgins was going to be an Eagle. They went with Jaylen Rigor. Knew they were going to go with a wide receiver. Justin Jefferson to the Vikings. Got that one spot on. The only one I did not get was I did not expect the Cowboys to go with CeeDee Lamb. I expected them to go with like a safety like I had McKinney from Alabama there. So it's like, I didn't expect Ruggs to be, like, he was my third best wide receiver. I like Jerry Jeudy the best coming out of college.
One position, but there are about 4 different styles of wide receivers at that position. That's what makes it tricky to try to predict that. So when you look at teams who need wide receivers this year, like I said, it's going to take to about week 11 till we figure out about where teams are going to be at in the draft. And then you can start to predict that realistic range for where he's going to land. But I think the ankle injury, I'm not concerned long-term. I don't think this is a situation where like this is a career ruiner or something. It's just like, hey, check his medicals in whatever, like June, May, whatever, and be like, where are we at? What are we looking like? You know, how's his attitude? How's his mentality? If he's got a good, hey, I'm working out, I feel great, like I could go play tomorrow.
Yeah, it would probably be February is going to be the most important because at the combine, depending on if there's a combine.
Oh, right.
Like that's probably going to be the most important. Of like, okay,
for the NFL this year,
May. It's usually end of May.
It is end of May. Okay, I wasn't sure if they're sticking.
Yeah,
or because the Super Bowl were kind of nudging at the.
I don't know. They could move it again. Right now, if I'm expecting it like last year, it'll be May. Combine's usually at the end of February. Okay, so we'll see how those go.
That's the time then to look at, definitely.
Dave, very quickly, we're going to move on to do a segment that we love to do. Wet Boys.
This is the last weekly Wet Boy.
This could be.
I'm sorry, the last daily Wet Boy.
Good point. Like, there's no games tonight.
There's no game.
Yeah, so far. Man, this is the end of an era for daily Wet Boys until, games pick up again. But these are the dampest of dudes, saggest of shooters, moistest of men, and sometimes the mistiest of misses. Maybe instead of soggiest of shooters, should I say the soggiest of sluggers? Would that work?
Just like the sweetest of slugger.
Sweetest of is water sweet though? Like, that's the thing.
Drinks
like,
can be
they're
sweet.
wet. Drinks can, but like wet boys, we're thinking water.
Wet
right?
is a description of a drink, not water. Water is wet, though. You are correct.
Maybe I just think water because that's what the logo of our Wet Boys is. It's just a little water ripple. But these are our players of the day. How it usually works is Dave gives a Wet Boy, I give a Wet Boy. The patrons at patreon.com/MVPvids, silver and above tier, give their Wet Boys as well. There was no football or basketball, so Dave don't have a Wet Boy today.
Correct. I just discriminate against baseball because I don't care.
Both of our Wet Boys today come from baseball. I will go first. Mine, I'm taking a liberty with mine because he did not pitch yesterday, but because of his performance in the World Series and because of what the World Series means to him and the rest of his career, I'd like to give him a Wet Boy, and that's Clayton Kershaw. Like, Clayton Kershaw, the one big knock against Kersh is that when it comes to the big games, when it came to the last time they were in the World Series 2 years ago, he was absolutely horrible. They lost both of the games he was in. The time before that, where it went to 7 games, he was good in 1. He went 1 and 2. He wasn't Clayton Kershaw. This World Series, he was closer to Clayton Kershaw. And it's like, after the Dodgers win, I don't like the Dodgers. I'll be the first to say it. But I was happy for Clayton Kershaw, and I wasn't able to give him a Wet Boy when he pitched in his last game, Game 5, because there was a different Wet Boy I wanted to go with. I think that was the Michael Phoenix Jr. one. So I wanted to give a nod to Clayton Kershaw, kind of tip of the hat of good on you. You finished your Hall of Fame career with a World Series that I never thought you'd get, to be honest.
Fair enough.
And then Dave, you mentioned earlier, the patrons going with Blake Snell. Blake Snell. How do you pull him after 5 1/3? Like how do you? I almost gave the manager a dry dude, to be honest with you. And then I was like, I got to go positive and give it to Clayton Kershaw. But like,
who's dealing?
It's the fucking World Series. And that's the thing. Like, I get it. It's a 1-0 game, but like, it's fucking Blake Snell. It's not like it's your fucking 5th pitcher out there. No, it's your ace. It's the guy that you want in that situation. And you're like, nah, brah, I'm going to go ahead and fucking pull him.
I'm going to save his inning or his pitch count for Game 7. You got to get to Game 7.
You got to get there
first.
Like, the whole thing with it reminds me of like fucking Joe Madden in the World Series with like Game 7 when it was being fucky with the pitching and like how he like was Game 6 he pulled like fucking what's his name? Oh, fucking flamethrower. Why am I forgetting his name? Yankee now. Chapman. I almost said Fonseca, and I was like, nope, that's going way too back in the time machine. Yeah, Chapman was like, he was fucking like, fuck it, put him out there in Game 7 and just like, but that was in Game 7. This was Game 6, Dave. Like you said, you got to get to Game 7. So like I was rooting for the Rays too. That's why I was demoralized when they lost because I wanted that Game 7.
It would have been an amazing story, but again, Dodgers, congratulations, y'all, world champions. You paid up for it. You paid all the money. You gave it out to all your players. Exactly what we expected to happen.
Gotta feel good for Mookie.
Gotta feel good for Mookie. You know what's kind of funny though?
What?
You following the whole story about the COVID on the field?
Oh yes, the fucking Justin Turner. I will say, I said this to Soapy. And I don't mean to put you on blast, Eric, but I'm going to say it. Where I found it funny in Discord where Eric, one of our fans who's in Discord, was like, oh, yeah, Turner's not on the field. And then I was like, oh, wait, he was on the field. So it was like, why? Like,
how did that celebrate?
Happen? How did that happen?
He was on the field. He kissed the cup, and he was there with his wife, and then he handed the cup off. Now, what does that mean for COVID? Yeah. Not good. Not good.
Dude. Like fucking OBJ said, it's a mental thing, man. COVID don't want none of this body. I don't want none of COVID. I ain't getting that COVID. You know what I'm saying? It's mind over matter, Dave. Mind over matter.
You tested positive,
and that's why you were pulled in the eighth.
Out there.
Yep.
How is that allowed?
Baseball. That's the culmination of what this season has been, Dave. Like, do you expect anything less at this point? The other thing I was going to bring up is, did you see Rob Manfred? When he was handing the trophy up, was he drunk or having a stroke? Because that's what I've been seeing on Twitter. Like,
50-50.
Was he
actually 75-25?
Was he sloshed or was he literally having a stroke out there when he was giving it?
I had to go watch it live again, or the replay of Rob Manfred speaking. I'm like, oh, there's something off here.
There was something very off.
I've heard Rob Manfred talk, and I know he's not a smart sounding man.
Yeah.
But this was at a different level.
Like, I would like to think maybe at the worst it was like severe anxiety of like nervousness, but like the stadium wasn't completely filled.
It was public speaking, knows lots of people are watching,
Live, but like, yeah, that was something that was like, ooh, that was pretty bad. Dave, the next two things, quick kind of NFL stuff, as we are over an hour. Don't want to go too long over an hour. This one I had to add today because A, we had a conversation about this last week. 2, the Cowboys are pretty much selling house. First off, they trade Evers and Griffin to the Lions. We already knew about that. But today,
see the Lions buying for once.
But today, the Cowboys tried to trade Dontari Poe and Daryl Morey, 2 people on their defense. Couldn't find buyers, so said, fuck it, you're cut. And cut them. And this, to me, Dave, I want to ask the question to you of going back to our conversation with the Cowboys and, like, should they push for the playoffs and trade for a Ryan Fitzpatrick or tank? Is this them officially entering the tank? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, oh, are you a veteran on our team? Get the fuck out of town. Like, this is we want the organization to have a mentality.
No leadership void, though. Like, we're shipping veterans, but no leadership.
Our coach, you're absolutely right. The leadership criticism.
Symbology.
I was combining the leadership and criticism together. The leadershism happened, and I think this is clearly just reactionary. It's like, hey, you don't like it, get out. Like, you're old. I don't need you. I will get young players who will try harder than you to take your spot, and we'll do better with them. Because Dontari Poe was statistically the worst pass rusher and run blocker. I don't know what they call that, like run stopper, pass rusher, run stopper in his position in the NFL.
Yeah,
he'd applied the least QB pressures. He had stopped the least amount of runners, so he is ineffective at his position. And even with that being said, as a Bears fan, I'm like, yeah, but like, maybe worth a look. Maybe
dude. All the things I've seen on Twitter are basically like,
because ours is out this year.
Bills fans are like, please sign Dontari Poe. Please sign Poe.
No,
that's all I'm
don't
seeing.
Need him. Go to the Bears. He was awful. He's been awful all year. But I would still take a shot at him because I'm like, maybe he's just demotivated because he's on a shitty team.
I mean, when fucking Mike McCarthy's your head coach, like, how are you gonna get motivated?
It does raise some questions. It definitely raises a lot of questions. But I think we nailed in our earlier conversation, Ricky. They've picked their direction. They're willing to go young. They're willing to lose a lot of games this year, and they're willing to settle it in the draft. And that's draft free agency. We're looking at a big contract for Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. Something that I thought was interesting was they talked about leadership on Pat McAfee's show today. They had a God, what is his name? They had a great interview today on that show with a former.
I'm gonna look it up for you.
Guy.
Just keep going. I'm gonna look up his name.
Yeah, and he's talking about like it's hard to be a leader in the locker room when you're fucking up. Yeah. Like you can't be a B, a C kind of player, like an average player, and be a leader in the locker room very easily. Like you need 10 years. If you need like tenure, if you've done it, you have to have a history with the team. If you're a leader and you're not the best guy at the position. Now, Ezekiel Elliott is someone who has serious issues with ball control. He has been wearing sleeves when he doesn't need to. People blame that for the fumbles. He loses the ball a lot. He's not the dominant force that we thought Zeke would be after seeing him emerge in this league. My focus really fucking hates me today.
Yeah, it doesn't like you.
So it's just really disappointing that like it seems like with Dak out of there and Zeke not able to step up, Jason Witten, longtime voice in the locker room.
Was it Brian Westbrook?
Yes. It was either Brian Westbrook or who's the second one?
Well, Aaron Rodgers was first. I didn't think it was Aaron Rodgers.
It wasn't Aaron Rodgers because it's Wednesday today.
Charles Davis?
Charles Davis, yeah.
Yeah. So they had Charles Davis and Brian Westbrook.
Yeah. So both those guys kind of spoke on it, but it's the leadership quality in that locker room, and I think they're lacking that. So They have to get players to give a fuck again, and by moving on from veterans who are salty and who are like, I've been on teams where things are run well. This ain't it. Like that's the problem. They have that comparison. If you go at young guys, like, oh well, maybe this is normal. Maybe this is like, hey, we gotta earn our lumps and work through it, kind of a thing. So I feel like it's definitely a directional move, and Mike McCarthy going down the route of this year won't be a success, but you know what? We lost our starting quarterback early this year. We shouldn't have those expectations on us. We'll be back next year with the right guys, and I'm going to use this year to find those right guys. And that's the right thing to say. Like, you can't blame him for any of that.
And, like, I'm not blaming Mike McCarthy for this. You know who I am blaming?
Who?
Jerry Jones. Like, this is the culmination of without Dak out there. Because really that started all this. Like, with Dak out there, was the team perfect on the field? No. But, like, they were in games. They were coming back and winning some games because, you know, Dak's a really good quarterback that you should fucking pay to be your franchise quarterback. Any other team would be like, oh, we'll pay you. The Bears would love to have Dak Prescott.
He's going to get a similar contract to Pat Mahomes without having the ring. Like, that's the crazy thing.
I mean, but that's it. Like, if you have that, all you want is that quarterback that you can call your guy and then build around him. Like, that's all you need. And Dak is that guy. It's just Jerry's too stupid to see that. But, like, this is the culmination of...
I think he's too stupid to see it. I think he's just negotiating still.
He doesn't want to win. It's business over winning, which is, I get it, it's football. I get
business
it,
first. Jerry Jones has always been business first. Winning matters. I know. Business first.
Like what? They haven't won since Michael Irvin's been there, right?
1994?
Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin. Which I will say, side note, watching the NFL Network in the morning, guys, on Sunday, it's really hard to have Kurt Warner and Michael Irvin talk about things because usually when they do, they go, oh, well, it ended in a ring. It's like, yeah, but that might not happen here.
I know. They do drop that reference quite a bit.
But, like, I blame Jerry Jones. Like, this all is being, like, this is all a part of, like, he led up to this. Every move that he's made, the way he, like, manages his team as an owner and as GM, like, you're reaping what you sowed, Jerry. Your team is bad because of you. So it's like the only way to change it is for me, get Jerry out of there, but we know that's never going to happen. So Cowboys fans, I'm sorry. Like, that's all I can say. It's like, sorry you have Jerry Jones.
They will get Dak back. They will be bad this year, but I think next year they'll hopefully turn a new page and be a decent team. Again, Dak can make up for a lot of these problems. Like, he can make that offense tick. We saw that. That's clear. He is an above average quarterback. I don't want to say a great quarterback. He's above average as a quarterback.
He's a
that's
solid
good enough
starter.
to win a lot of games in the NFL. They've got a bunch of weapons. Yeah. Bunch of weapons out there. The defense is the problem. You look at that defense, you go, you take away CeeDee Lamb, you put out there maybe a Queen who, you know, was available in the draft, but they had to have the bonus pick. CeeDee Lamb, he's too talented to fall this far. We'll just greed pick another wide receiver on a team that doesn't need him. We don't need to get guys on defense who are just born Hall of Fame. Not Hall. I don't want to put that on him already. Born, you know, just uber talented, uber motivated guys who will get that defense chugging in the right direction. Like, that's the problem is they're drafting in free agency moves have put them in this situation. You're exactly right, Ricky.
Dave, the other football news going from the Cowboys. This guy used to play for the Cowboys. Now he is on. It's only the practice squad, Dave. But Dez Bryant signs with the Baltimore Ravens.
Awesome.
A tweet that he said, my emotions are running high right now. I'm thankful. I can't stop crying. We all know Dez Bryant going from the Cowboys to the Saints has that horrific injury where it was like we thought he was going to like get going with the Saints, has an injury, and now has a third chance. Well, second chance from the injury, but a third chance with a third team. To maybe make an impact. And the thing with this is, yes, he's on the practice squad right now, but is he going to be in a position to come playoff time, make an impact for this team? Or is this just for the Ravens, just like, hey, it's a low risk, high reward. He might not pan out, but you know what? If he does, he can help us in the playoffs.
Yes to both. I think he is still supremely talented. I think that, Dez is a fantastic wide receiver out there, and it was tragic when he went down. Like, I was like, he's coming back. he's going to get his chance after being knocked out with ending on an injury with Dallas, basically, and going to. Wait, was it ending on an injury with Dallas, or was it a contract dispute that ended him onto the Saints?
I'll look it up.
I forget how that transition happened. All I remember was it was signed with the Saints and then done, just like that. It was like, oh man, he cannot catch a fucking break right now. So either way, Dak, I love the Dak and Dez combination. If it were to be a thing, but
Dak and Dez.
Whatever. But no, Dez Bryant, super good, one of the best. I wish that he was still healthy. I hope that he is able to remain healthy at whatever level he's at right now. And huge addition if the Ravens can get a good looking Dez Bryant out there. I think he would be massive for their passing game because they are struggling, and it's something that people don't want to acknowledge because what that team's able to do to kind of mitigate some issues with Lamar Jackson being able to create and extend plays, as well as being able to run the ball himself, has been huge for them. But obviously now Mark Ingram, potentially, I think he's questionable this week or out. I'm not quite 100%. I know he's hurt. So obviously relying on Gus and J.K. Dobbins to fill that void. But really outside of, they've got good tight end. They've got Hollywood Brown out there, but they don't got anyone who is there available on a down-to-down basis in the middle of the field who can catch passes for you and move the chains. So I think that would be massive for this team.
I think Shefty put out today that Mixon, Ingram, and Phillip Lindsay all have not practiced yet this week. But the Dez thing, so the 2017 season, after a Week 9 win over the Chiefs, he sprained his ankle and was sidelined the rest of the game. On November 30th against the Redskins, he passed Bob Hayes for Cowboys franchise receiving touchdowns and overall played 16 games for the Cowboys, so he didn't miss any games with that ankle injury. However, the Cowboys on April 13th of 2018 cut him. They released him. And then in November, he's 9 weeks into the season, he signed with the Saints, and then 2 days after signing, Achilles tendon. In team practice, too. It wasn't even a game. It was team practice. 2 days after signing, boom, he was done. So, I am pulling for Dez, like you said. I hope that come playoff time, even before playoff time, we see him out there. Him and Marquise Brown would be great targets. He would help out Marquise Brown, help out Mark Andrews, help out Lamar Jackson, and maybe this team, as they try to make a Super Bowl run, and basically do the Ravens last time for the Super Bowl, do it for Ray's last ride. Is this one going to be do it for Dez? Do it for Dez. Let's get Dez a Super Bowl.
Incredible story. I did double check. It was the contract situation. He was due to make 12.5 and count 16.5 against the cap. In 2018. They're like, we're not paying that right now. So I totally understand. I just really wish that he get a fair shake at it this time around, and he'll be able to stay healthy. I want to see him back in the NFL. I'd love to see him playing for the Ravens and catching some touchdowns from Lamar. I think that'd be sick.
Because the other thing I remember of
story on the show on. I like it.
And
different vibe.
The other
I'm
thing,
used to ranting on COVID right now.
We did that earlier, Dave. See, it kind of mixes things up to where because the Cowboys arguably might have been able to win a Super Bowl that 1 year against the Packers, where this was the catch rule. They changed it because of this. Where Dez Bryant, it was a catch on the sideline, but they didn't call it a catch on the sideline. Would have set him up for a touchdown. So it'd be nice for Dez to win a Super Bowl. But that's going to do it for us today. Let us know what you think about anything we talked about down below. Thank you to everyone who was watching today. Thank you to Dima and Eric for chiming in on Twitch chat today. Remember, join the Discord if you want to talk to us, talk to the real MVPs. We're all in one place. Link down below our exclamation Discord and Twitch chat. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids, or you can throw us. Thank you, Nick's Josh. He said great show today.
That's nice. Thank you.
You can also throw us a sub on Twitch to support us, where we're live every Monday through Friday. Twitch.tv/MVPvids. And we're also on YouTube, everything. So if you miss a show, goes up there. MVP Sports onto YouTube as well. So go sub to us there so you don't miss anything. Follow us on Twitch so you catch all the live shows. But that's going to do it. Dave and I will be back tomorrow, Thursday, for another jam-packed day of sports. But as always, have a good day, everybody.